Hello everyone. Today I will recap you a TV series titled Grimm, Season 3 Episodes 3 and 4. So make some tea and we'll start. Nick runs on the treadmill at the medical center, checking his pulse rate. The doctor asks him how he feels and suggests increasing the speed a second time to increase the pulse even more. But the pulse and blood pressure still remain unchanged. And the doctor tells him that either the device is not in order or the man is in great shape. Meanwhile, Monroe and Rosalie are having dinner at a restaurant, talking, and Monroe offers to move in with him, saying that Nick and Juliet live together and he has a house. There are more closets in the house than in her apartment. And in the end, he was able to persuade the girl to live together, and Rosalie was just thinking about it too. An unknown man runs through the forest, stumbling and tearing off his outer clothes on the move, holding his stomach, begins to climb a tree where he turns into a ripper, screaming from abdominal pain, after which he explodes. Hank is informed about the murder. He tells Nick about the corpse in the tree. The detectives who arrive do not understand how he got there. Nick says to take a picture and remove the body from the tree in order to examine the body in detail. Meanwhile, Sean gets a call from his spy. He reports that the police have not found anything in Eric's office yet. The family is helping, but most likely a lot of blood will be shed. After Eric's death, Frau Pesch will be looking for a new buyer for the child. The man offers to contact him himself. After the conversation, Adalyn stood behind Sebastian. He asks who the killer is. Are we in danger? And who will take Eric's place? Sebastian didn't give a specific answer, and Adalyn leaves. Documents were found in the bloodbad's clothes. He is engaged in organ donation. And Nick puts forward the theory that his stomach was opened with a chainsaw. During the interrogation, his wife says that everything was fine. She came home around 6. He comes at 7. When he didn't come around 8, she called work, then found out that he had left. She called the police. And 2 days ago, the lovers celebrated their anniversary, went to a restaurant. They were really happy. A young couple is kissing near a tree. A guy notices blood on his hand, and he sees another corpse on the tree. Arriving there, Wu reports that this time the victim is a girl. The car is abandoned on the side of the road. The door is open, the bag is inside. The type of victim is different, and the handwriting of the victim is the same. After examining the car, Nick takes out a wallet. There are several checks in it, one from yesterday, from the Raven and Rose restaurant, where, as it turned out, he celebrated his anniversary and the first victim on the eve of his death. Hank and Nick come to Great Oster's restaurant. Meanwhile, he gets nervous and yells at the employees, explaining that the kitchen is an art, not chopping wood. Nick discovers that all the employees of the restaurant are Bauerschwein, a pig like Wesson. Nick shows the cook photos of the dead. The pig does not remember them and is not familiar with them. Nick asks what they ordered that day. At home, Juliet says that bloating happens in dogs, cattle, when the stomach turns around the longitudinal axis of the digestive tract. Nick comes up with the idea that the victims may belong to the same breed and, perhaps, they are bloodbaths since Bauerschweins are at war with them. At Monroe's house, Nick picks up his things that he left behind when he lived with him. Nick asks Monroe about the restaurant, and he doesn't know about the piggies who worked there, but there's nothing wrong with that, because many creatures have their own restaurants. Nick picks up the boxes of medicines. Monroe arranges a surprise in honor of his friend's departure. After the toast, Rosalie picks up the phone, tells Monroe that something happened to his friend Sam. He did not come home and does not answer calls. The guy Rosalie met at the restaurant. He reveals that he is also a bloodbath, and everything fits together. Coming to the spice shop, Rosalie says that it is because of the mushroom black melancholy. It is dangerous after heat treatment by releasing a toxin that is dangerous to the intestines. Hank got a call. They found Sam's car when they came to her. Nearby they find Sam writhing in pain and his stomach explodes. Monroe angrily explains to Nick that this pig will be responsible for everything. At the restaurant, Nick talks to the Bauerschwein, explaining that this is another victim who had dinner at their restaurant. But Pig says that this hardly applies to the order. Grimm talks about mushrooms, and the boss panicked says that there are witnesses here. There is no justice here. Half of the workers' family died because of the bloodbaths. We are not talking about the past, but about the future, where pigs will be on equal terms and they will not have to live in constant fear. Grimm said there would be no new order as long as the killings continued. The chef heads home from the restaurant, where Monroe begins to chase him along the way. Another bloodbath runs out of the car, and the Bauerschwein starts to run away, where he gets into a dead end with Monroe and the other bloodbaths. It's drizzling, and a car pulls up, from which Nick and Hank run out. Nick attacks Monroe, and a fight begins. Nick picks up a gun and says that the man is wounded. Nick shoots Monroe, and he falls. The pig is happy. The rest of the bloodbaths come out of the wall. Nick explains to Pigface that he needs to confess to the murder. There is no other way out. Otherwise, these bloodbaths will destroy all the Bauerschweins in the city. Monroe overdoes his role of the deceased and says that they will not be able to stop them. Hank tells Nick that it's time to leave. Otherwise, they will be killed too. Bauerschwein, out of fear, confesses to the murders, asking to protect him. This is the end of the third series. In the next episode, a young group of guys is resting on the riverbank, singing songs and laughing. One couple decides to go for a swim, while the other stays on the shore. But they are followed by a deaf-mute girl. She turns out to be the girl's sister. She was spying on them because she likes one of the guys. A girl in a blue swimsuit chases her away, scaring her to tell their father about it. Then she and the guy went to the water, where they made love, and at that moment, when someone started pulling him to the bottom, he screams for help and tries to surface, but everything is powerless. After a while, a deaf-mute girl pulls out a guy who was dragged to the bottom. He is unconscious and she tries to save him. He regains consciousness and she runs away. Nick and Hank arrived at the crime scene. They examined the body, noticing a lot of damage and scratches from the claws. They went to Jem, who submitted an application. He tells how everything happened, that something pulled his friend to the bottom and even himself when he tried to help him. Yesterday he told the police about it, but no one believed him. Hank asks how he managed to get out. The guy is talking about a girl, but he thinks he imagined it. The guy brought Nick and Hank to where it all happened. Nick, with his super hearing, heard someone in the bushes, turned around. He saw a girl starting to chase her. She jumps into the water and swims away at the speed of a boat. In the trailer, Nick, Monroe, and Hank find an entry about the Naiad creature in a book. Hank calls Wu, informing him that the deceased's phone was found near the station. Arriving at the coast, they meet a man from home who sends a signal about a stolen phone. They go inside, find a phone and a photo in which Nick draws attention to the girl he saw on the coast. Nick asks her father to interrogate her, who explains that she is deaf and dumb. The guy, with the help of binoculars, which Hank left him, sees the girls who were with them. He runs up to them and says Dan is dead. They leave, saying they don't understand what he's talking about. Hank asks for documents, and a deaf-mute girl is watching them. They are taken to the police station, where their father says they cannot go there. It is obvious that they will not live long without water. Their father obviously has other problems. The guys who came say that he forgot his roots. Ollie needs to be pruned. It's because of her that they have problems. He gets slapped in the face and they leave. At the police station, Grim says that they were Naiads. If they remain silent, they will dry up right in the station. The father came to the police station, asks to let the girls go because he killed that guy in the water. But it's all a lie, just to save his daughters. When Jem returns home, he discovers a mess in an open window. He closes it, and Ellie appears behind him. She takes his hand and leads him into the pool. She dives and swims with great speed. Her eyes glow and gills appear. Dad gets hit on the head with a stick, and they kidnap Ellie. Rosalie and Monroe are putting things away at home. Monroe got a hair and says it's interesting. Putting him in the place of honor, they realize that it is ugly. Monroe says he is afraid of himself, but does not want to back down. Nick tells the sisters that they are free, since their father confessed to the murder. They are worried about their father, and one of them says they have to tell everything, explaining to Nick that it was Dominic and Jesse, the two guys from the marina. They need to hurry. There is little time left to live without water. Sarah tells everything she didn't know about when they were in the river. She talks about ancient traditions, how they create a family by killing a person. But that's not what they're doing right now, until Dominic and Jesse arrive from Alaska. Jake calls Nick, says he was beaten up, and Ellie was taken away. The sister says that they want to prune her, or to be more precise, to cut off the webbing between her fingers and toes. Meanwhile, the guys tie up the girl, lower her into the water so that she turns into her real form, and then they will be able to cut the membranes. But they see a police car push the girl. She hits and is unconscious under the water. The guys are trying to cope with the detectives. Nick knocks out one of the guys and jumps after the girl into the water. After swimming, he discovers a rope and a girl on it, unties her legs and floats up. Hank asks if Nick is okay since he's been underwater for too long. The family will be saved, and the murderers will be brought to justice. At home, Juliet reads Nick's mail. After medical research on his health, it turns out that everything is fine with him. Suddenly a letter arrives. Haven't been able to spend the money. Royal assassination causing much turmoil. No longer safe. Must leave you. Love you. M, and she begins to wonder who M is. And that's it. Thanks for watching. A new retelling will be released soon.